He used to even joke about it that he is a very thrifty and stingy person. President Buhari was a much misunderstood man.
What are reforms that work to you?
You see it, particularly in the market. You see it in prices of goods. You see it almost everywhere. You see it. The news is out. You say, hey, is my office bugged? He left rice at 35,000 naira per bag.
But when he came, it was like 10K. Wasn't it?
A year after him, what was it? 102, 104. A lot of people didn't open their minds about Buhari. They kept seeing Buhari, the military ruler, not the democratically elected president.
Today on the coffee table, we're speaking with a man who spent 8 years as the voice of power. When I mean power, I mean he was a special advisor to the president of Nigeria, defending, explaining, and sometimes absorbing the anger directed at Nigeria's most polarizing administration, or at least one of the most polarizing administration that we've had. From fuel subsidy to refusal to float the Naira, independence of economic nationalism to closing borders, he stood at the intersection of policy and public opinion. He has now written a book, Working with Buhari, offering his own account of those years. This is Femi Adesina on the coffee table with Ugodre. All right, welcome to the coffee table, Mr. Femi Adesina.
Thank you.
The mic is a little awkward, so you have to raise your hand. Thank you so much for being here. I know that most times when people tend to criticize government a lot and people who's worked in government, but it's always good to also appreciate, the service that you've done. And I thought it was important that I would speak to you a little bit about some of your experiences as someone who worked in the previous government. But I want to start first from the book that you've written. You've written a book, Working with Buhari,
Yes.
right? And I've seen a number of commentary that you've run on that book. Just to tell us, what was the reason behind writing a book like that? I remember, we've seen a few others from several people who've probably been in your position before. I think but the last was what's his name again? Segun Adeni wrote one. So you have written one now. Why?
Yes, because I had the good fortune of serving the president for 8 years. I was the only person that had served a president in a democracy for 8 years.
You served the president in what?
As a media advisor.
Media advisor.
Yes.
For 8 straight years?
8 straight years.
Oh.
8 unbroken years. All the others before then, maybe they will serve for 4 years, they will change them. Some will serve for 2 years, they will change them. But I served for 8
straight years.
So I believed that having had such kind of opportunity, I needed to document some things. And then I also know that President Buhari was a much misunderstood man. And having served him for that length of time, I grew to know him. And I told myself, this man needs to be portrayed for who he is and how he is. So that was why I wrote that book, that people would know the true Buhari. And anybody who took time, who took the patience to read that book, will understand who Muhammadu Buhari was.
Interesting. Interesting that you said this, because I guess, one of the most criticized presidents that we've seen in the modern era, I would probably have to be Buhari himself, for all sorts of reasons.
Yes.
So what is it that people don't understand about him?
Yeah. The criticism came largely from misconception. they had known Buhari, the general who was a military head of state, who ruled with an iron fist. When he came back as a democratically elected leader, they were still seeing him from the prism of the general who ruled with an iron fist. So they didn't understand him. All the while that he approached things democratically, they would say, the tyrant has come again. So a lot of people didn't open their minds about Buhari. They kept seeing Buhari, the military ruler, not the democratically elected president. So there was a lot of misconception about it.
So couldn't it have been, I mean, some people would say, wasn't it your responsibility of people like you to have help better communicate who he is? So
we did that.
So how come there was still that misunderstanding?
Some people's minds are ossified. They never want to imbibe anything new. What they had seen and experienced and made up their minds about, they just stick to it. You had ossified minds. So everything you were saying, they just kept remembering the military head of state. And it was not as if the military head of state was bad. The time he came were testy times in the life of the country, and in Nigeria needed such iron hand. 83 December he came. Nigeria was like scattered on all fronts, in all spheres. We needed somebody firm, strict, with an iron hand to bring things together again. That was what he did with his deputy, Babatunde Idiagbon. They called them the unsmiling duo. And when asked, Idiagbon said there was no cause for smiles in the country. And so they just had to face the job they were doing. But then he came under another milieu, another dispensation, democracy. And he tried to approach it democratically, but a lot of people didn't believe. They thought he was still the old man.
I mean, I guess some will probably say that also played in his favor, because I know at some point during that election, he was also characterized as somebody who was very principled and coming to take power, or to be the president at the time when it appeared Nigeria needed some different kind of direction. So that, we need to say that also played in his favor.
Oh yes. A lot of people voted him 30 years after he left government, because they remember the man who was strict and disciplined, and they felt that was what Nigeria needed then.
But that wasn't what we got, though.
Because he had been tempered, one by age, tempered by time, and he was working under a different milieu completely. He used to say, under military rule, it was decree. You decreed it and it became law. But under democracy, you know what it takes to pass one law? To have to go to the National Assembly, they will debate the first reading, second reading, third reading, and all that. And then they have to send it back to the president for assent. Some will have to be taken to state governments, and 24 states of the federation have to concur. And all that. So it's not the same thing.
All right. So talking about misunderstanding him, one of the most misunderstood aspect of Buhari that some of his supporters, like people who really respect him a lot, is his understanding of the economy. We've seen several texts, several programs, even during his time, but mostly after his time, suggesting that he doesn't understand the economy at all. Is this your own experience of him?
The word "at all" is what I won't agree with. He himself will say he was not an economist. Several times he will say, "I'm not an economist." Well, it's not that he didn't understand economics at all. No, he understood it. He may not be adept or professional in it, but he knew the basics. He knew the basics.
So in your book, were there any, aspects of it that, just to talk a little bit about your book, that any reference to, him maybe supervising any economic policy or any decision that had economic connotations during his time that you fondly remember?
Yes, there's no way a president will avoid the economy completely, whether he liked it or not. But he made sure he had professionals around him who will run the economy.
Yeah.
He will keep an eye on things they are doing. He will try to understand it as much as possible, but he left the professionals to take the decisions. He had an economic team made up of respected economists in the country. Then he had his Minister of Finance. Then he had his Minister of Budget and National Planning. Those are people in charge of the economy and economic issues.
So, but at the end of the day, he was the one leading anyways.
Oh, yes. He was the one leading. He had to sign off on policies before they came into effect.
So what was that? Because I guess by the time these policies are signed off, most of it is communicated by you, though.
Yes.
Yeah. So what was that experience like when you're told to communicate some of his policies?
Yes. Well, in talking of communication, it goes this way. Government communication is done by the Minister of Information.
Okay.
Government
Communication. Okay.
Presidential communication is done by the Special Advisor, Media and Publicity.
Okay.
So if it was a government thing, government decision, it was the Minister of Information that would do it. But if the president makes any pronouncement about it in his capacity as president, then the Special Advisor of Media will talk about it. That's how it is done.
I see. So let's talk about that COVID era, because there were quite a lot. Different things happened that year, economically for Nigeria as well. Were there any unique experiences that you had that period and how we handled it? Particularly with the economy going, because remember then we had this massive, it was global, but we also had massive recession, things were really bad. So what was his mood around that period?
In fact, one of the greatest kudos we should give the late President Buhari was in the area of handling COVID.
Why?
You know that as COVID advanced, the buzzword was that Nigerians would begin to fall down in the street and die. Even Bill Gates said in Africa, they will begin to park corpses on the roads. There was a lot of bogey about it, accompanied with fear. But the way President Buhari approached it, setting up what we would call task force. Well, I think it was presidential something on COVID that he set up, headed by Boss Mustafa, the secretary to the governor of the federation. And they tackled the thing methodically, that by the time COVID lifted, we didn't have maybe up to 100 fatalities when other countries had in millions. In millions. Countries had fatalities in millions. I doubt if Nigeria had up to 100. And it was because of the approach of the president and government. Hands on the table. And Nigerians have every reason to thank God for it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the economy was pretty beaten bad that year.
Globally.
Yeah.
Globally, because there was a shutdown. Nothing was happening all over the world. Nothing. But realize that despite it, Nigeria could still feed herself. Other countries, I remember Venezuela, they were crossing the border to look for food. They are an oil country like Nigeria. But because Buhari had focused on agriculture, particularly rice, we had these heaps of rice during COVID that everybody could feed themselves.
Yeah.
Imagine if during COVID we had to go out to look for food. Countries had shut their borders. There was no money. So how could 220 people,
20 million people?
No, 20 million?
No, you said 220 people. Do you mean the population of 20 million?
People. How would they have survived? If not that we had prepared for the eventuality.
But under Buhari, people also say there were 2 recessions.
Yes, there were
in
2
Nigeria.
recessions.
Does he have any blame for that?
No, one was inevitable. It was inherited. It is a fact that since 2014, a year before Buhari came, the economy has slowed down. It was headed towards recession. Nobody could have prevented it. Nobody. Even Okonjo-Iweala,
including him,
nobody could have prevented it. It was inevitable. It was inevitable. So when it happened, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. And then the second one was because of things like COVID and all that. But the good thing is that in both cases, the economy came out of it.
But some people also say that I guess one of the decisions that he took that was probably most criticized was not holding on to the Naira exchange rate even during that first recession when we went from 180 I think to 5 something and then back to 360. That maybe if he was a bit bolder at the time, we probably wouldn't have.
Recall that even during his time as military head of state, he didn't hold on to the Naira like that. He allowed the Naira to find its level. But he kept things under close rein. Even there were international pressures on him to devalue the Naira under his time as a military head of state.
Yeah.
Or he refused to.
Why does he? Why was he? Because that's something that I've always wondered though. Why is he so? I don't want to use the word fixated, but he sort of always preferred a stronger Naira at all time, and it was always as if, even if he didn't say much about the economy, that was something he always sort of communicated a few times. What's the reason? Is there a reason for that? Is it his experience? What exactly?
He always said, what were we manufacturing that we will allow our currency to float? What were we manufacturing? What were we exporting? What were we selling? That it was just bound to profit those who love a rentier economy. It will not profit the average and ordinary Nigerian.
Yeah, but he had economics experts now. So weren't they telling him what the advantages were?
Yes, even economic experts were divided on how to handle the Naira at that time. Some were for floating, some were for keeping a tight rein on it. So economic experts were not unanimous about it.
I mean, but if you had allowed the Naira float at that time, don't you think probably we may not have entered that recession?
Things would have been worse.
Really?
Yes. If you allowed the Naira to float at that time, Nigerians will suffer. They will suffer. At the end of the day, it was better that he had a tight grip on the Naira and we could pass through that time.
I mean, but we've floated the Naira since then, and international feedback seemed to be positive around it.
International feedback will always want a floated currency. The international people. That's what they always wanted. That was what they wanted under Buhari as military head of state. They wanted him to float the Naira. They will always say the Naira was overvalued.
Yeah.
But,
do you think he would have floated it though, if he was still around?
Not the Buhari I know. Not the Buhari I know. He would not.
Wow.
He would not.
But I wonder. Interesting. One of the other things that people tend to always cite is subsidy, that he was also very passionate about. Not, even though maybe some don't recall that it was towards the tail end of his tenure that he signed an executive order to remove it. But from your own perspective, and I say from your own perspective because there are several people in government, not just you, but from your own perspective, what was his sentimental attachment to not removing subsidy? Like, why? Even though it made economic sense not to.
The ordinary man. The ordinary man. Buhari was passionate about the ordinary man. He would always say, when crude oil sold for $140 per barrel, $150 per barrel, and what did the ordinary man gain? So that later, when crude got to a point that they had to now reduce, why should the ordinary man now bear the brunt? He always said it. He said when fuel hit the rooftops in terms of pricing, and Nigeria made a lot of money, the ordinary man didn't gain anything. So why should he be the one to bear the brunt when things...
But at the end of the day, we saw what some of those decisions created with all the, fiscal deficits, government not having... So wasn't he, I guess, properly told or advised on the impact of such a decision?
You realize that he had been convinced... beyond reasonable doubt that subsidy had to go. By the time he left, subsidy was not in the budget. It was not in the budget. The budget that this current administration inherited had no subsidy in it. So the Buhari government had actually removed it.
Yeah, but NNPC was still somehow subsidizing off the federal budget. Anyways, that was happening.
Yes. Wasn't it also still happening till recent? It was happening because there had to be some sort of buffer, some sort of bridge to tide things over. Otherwise, it would be too bad for the country. But all presidential candidates in 2023 had said they will remove the subsidy, and President Buhari himself didn't make provision for in the 2023 budget. So it shows that inevitably subsidy was to go.
Some also, we're going to get some of the positives as well. I just want to take on some of the more controversial ones. Some also speak to the Nigeria's debt profile as having also risen, under him. You see some of his hardened critics say, look, he inherited X number of debt during his time, and then by the time he was leaving, debt, almost doubled, if not doubled. And they speak to different things. They speak to ways and means and all this. What was how did he, see some of these things? Did he think that, perhaps maybe there was creating problems for the generations coming, or what was his mindset?
And you are pushing me towards...
No, I'm just trying to get... that's why I said from your perspective, because you communicated some of these things out, right? Yeah.
But...
and at least you defended some of those accusations. Very well, exactly. It's just to...
What I would just say...
In hindsight.
What I would just say is that every decision Buhari took was for the good of the people, particularly the ordinary people.
Even if at the end of the day, because now, you look back, and because if I was you, sometimes I would be pained. So you look back and you say, okay, look, decisions were taken because of the people. Now, most people are looking back and looking to blame him for the economic situation in the country. No, how do you see that?
Those who understand will not blame him. Those who understand. You know that there are...
For people who write history today, who do you think they are going to blame?
Though they are writing for themselves. Eventually, posterity will write. And Buhari will be properly assessed and judged at that time.
So if you look at the economic indicators now under him, right, some of the things that he's done, let's speak positively now. So what are the highlights for you? What changed under him that
for me
we're enjoying now?
The biggest was that we achieved food security. Food security.
Have we?
We did under him. Nothing, absolutely nothing was being imported again. Rice was not being imported. Beans was not being imported. Maize was not. Every kind of grain was not being imported because he had invested heavily in the agri sector, and we were self-sufficient. We were self-sufficient in food under him. Nothing was being imported. He left rice at 35,000 naira per bag.
But when he came, it was like 10K, wasn't it?
A year after him, what was it? 102, 104. So for him to have stabilized it at 35K, and we were not importing again. When it was 10K, we were importing. Under him, we were not importing again. You remember, he even closed the border for some years. Nothing was being imported.
Which is one of those things that people also look back and say, why did he close the borders? Femi, why?
Well,
I'm asking because, I mean, people thought that was some of the most brazen decisions ever taken, closing the border. Why?
President Buhari was not afraid of taking decisions. We went to the United Nations in New York, and the president of Togo, president of Ghana, president of Benin Republic, they came to meet him, pleading that the borders be reopened. He said, no, he will not reopen it. One, he talked about food smuggling outside the country.
Yeah.
Then he talked about importation of arms and ammunition. That many container loads were checked at the border, and they discovered it was full of arms and ammunition, causing security problem for Nigeria. So that's why he refused to reopen the border.
But borders were reopened soon after he left, and I mean,
but even before he left, he had opened some. He had opened some before he left. So when you embark on a policy, you continue assessing it. So if it needs to be tweaked, then you tweak it. He had opened some before he left.
Well, a lot of people would say that closing those borders also made food prices really go up at the time.
Go up?
Yeah, because, I mean, so
rather it helped our farmers.
But to the detriment of a lot of Nigerians, because I mean, what tends to happen is that I understand the logic of encouraging local production, but what happens is that when you have local production, prices tend to go up first before, I guess, maybe they come down. So that caused a lot of hardship for a lot of people as well.
That was not the feedback we got. If that happened, it must have been for a short time.
Okay, so I mean, one other thing that I guess Buhari will also be known for is he has a way of, working with people for a long time. So he sticks to like his team. That I mean, at least I've been tracking Nigerian presidents for years now, but he was one that seemed to always, kept the same team for a protracted period. That had its own advantages, but disadvantages are sometimes it's difficult to remove people that were not performing. Why was that his mindset though? And what's there to learn from it?
Recall that he was head of state for 20 months. He kept his team for that 20 months. Under the military, people are hired and fired. Within 20 months, some may have had 3 different ministers for the same portfolio. But he kept all his ministers for the 20 months. And then under democracy, there were ministers he kept for 8 years. I was a special advisor on media. He kept me for 8 years. Under Obasanjo, there were 3 special advisors within his 8 years. There was Doyo Kupe was the first one.
At some point,
Then Tuji Oseni came. Then Revioyo came. So he used 3. There were some others who used 2 over time. Some used 2, even for a 4-year period. So, but once Buhari was satisfied with you, he let you be.
So was there a logic behind that, or a learning behind it, or
I
a philosophy behind that his style that maybe we don't know?
That style better when he replaced the service chiefs he inherited. He came May 29. He didn't change the service chiefs till October. They were like 3 months with him. You know, some others, they replace service chiefs the night they get home.
Yeah.
He kept them. Now, the day he replaced them, he called me to his office. He gave me a paper. He said, I've decided to let the service chiefs go. These are the new ones. You announce. But don't announce today, announce tomorrow. I said, why? He said, it's not good for a man to leave his house in the morning, having a job, and by evening, he has no job again. You need to let that kind of decision sink in. You need to let him get home and be the one to announce it to his family. I know that his family will hear it over the radio.
I see.
When I argued with him, I said, this news will not keep till tomorrow. He said, oh, you have not been sacked before. I said, me, I have been sacked, so I know how it feels. Talking of his removal.
Head of state.
He said, so I know how it feels. I've been removed before.
But eventually the news leaked anyways.
It leaked. I hadn't left the precincts of his office before it leaked. He gave me the paper, said tomorrow. I said, okay. I told him this will not be kept under wraps. He said, let's wait till tomorrow. By the time I got downstairs, my phones began to buzz.
For you to confirm
that the service chief.
So doesn't that sometimes suggest, maybe, could it be that maybe he sort of underestimated what was going on around him? Or
when I now went back upstairs. I said, sir, the news is out. He said, hey, is my office bugged? Because he thought the thing was just within his office. And me and him discussed it. But he found out that the news was out already. The thing about government is that when a second ear hears it,
it's gone.
It's no longer secret. It's no longer secret. There were some offices in the villa that if there is any correspondence typed, it's photocopied. And you have people who would
have leaked it.
Yes.
Interesting. I can remember one of the most famous social media post of Buhari was one picture of him in the office sitting down with toothpick in his mouth, eating in his home, and all that, watching TV. And I don't know whether it's a misinterpretation or whether it's the correct interpretation of what people were thinking, but a lot of the narrative then was that he looked like someone who really didn't care about what's happening in the country and all that. Is that what it is?
You know the history of that picture. It was not supposed to go out. It was somebody that I know, close to the president, who just strolled in to see him in the evening after the president had eaten and he was speaking his thing, and he took that picture. That picture should not have gone out. That person released it. So it's the president's private moment.
Yeah.
And that picture should not have.
How did the president react to it though when he saw it?
You know, he had a good sense of humor.
Really? No head roll. He wasn't like, what happened?
Don't try his sense of humor. He will see it and he will laugh. You will laugh. You had a good sense of humor. But the picture, one, should not have gone out. The picture, two, did not reflect what was his thinking about the country. And if he knew it was something that would go out, he would not allow it to be taken.
Yeah, because but did you think that, you guys did enough explanation of that picture, or you probably just think you didn't need to?
There were some explanations that were not enough and will never be enough. So you just leave it. It. If you try to explain that picture, it will get worse. So the best thing was to just keep quiet about it.
Interesting. One other thing that I've also wanted to learn as well or understand is the reason why it also took a long time for him to make some appointments. I remember, most people say, well, maybe one of the reasons why he didn't start very well was because it took him so long to make very critical appointments.
4 months.
Was that
4 months before? Announced his first cabinet.
Yeah, why did it take him that long? Considering the sort of economy he had inherited at that time.
Yes, but you also know that it was like a hostile takeover. There were no handover notes. All the things the retreating administration should have pulled down and handed over, they were not done. In the first 3 months, he was meeting with permanent secretaries every day. And there were 42 ministries then, I remember. One permanent secretary per day who would brief him on the state of things in his ministry. Know how long that took? Simply because there was no proper handover from the previous government. So that's it.
Okay, just go international. What was his relationship with, I guess, the international community, particularly some of the road shows? Because he did travel quite a lot.
Oh, yes.
So there were a lot of road shows with foreign investors and all that.
We did 109 foreign trips.
Wow.
109, which was like a drop in the ocean compared to what Obasanjo did.
What was Obasanjo's own?
It's in the book, but it must have been double or triple of what Buhari did. Obasanjo was always in the air.
Yeah, he was always traveling.
But Buhari also traveled quite a bit because he believed in having a good relationship with the international community. And he was well respected. Buhari was very
but do you remember that? I think there was some video that leaked one time with the former British Prime Minister and all that. That didn't sound like it was. I mean, as much as he said Buhari had some integrity, but sort of made it sound like economically he probably wasn't that sound. Did he take it in any way?
What did he?
I mean, I think it was David Cameron. I don't know if you remember that leak. Yeah,
fantastically corrupt.
Yeah.
There was nothing negative in that video. They were having an international conference on corruption in London.
Yeah.
And then the Queen and Cameron and Welby, the head of the Anglican church
at the time.
They were talking. And Cameron spoke about the countries coming.
Yeah.
And he mentioned Afghanistan and he mentioned Nigeria, which he says were very corrupt countries.
Yeah.
And Justin Welby. Justin Welby was, I think, either executive director or MD of Shell in Nigeria.
Yeah.
In the 70s when Buhari was oil minister. So he knew him as a straight and strict and honest man. So Welby interjected and said, yes, Nigeria may be corrupt, but this president is not corrupt. It's not corrupt. So that was what they didn't know, that the microphone was speaking it. So
but
there was nothing negative.
How was Buhari when he was, I guess, maybe visited from when he was entertaining or attending to visitors from maybe the IMF, World Bank? What was his? How does he, manage meetings like that if you were there?
I don't recall. Yes, IMF. Christine Lagarde came. Yes, as IMF boss. I don't recall World Bank, but they must have come. Yeah, but
But what's his interaction usually when he's meeting people like this?
Before that kind of meeting, the bureaucracy would have briefed him.
Okay.
This is what they will say. This is what they will say. This is what you will say. So they know the right things to say at such meetings. It is when they are off from the camera that they can speak frankly.
Yeah.
But when they hold those meetings, they just say the proper
things that need to be said. Yes. I've always been curious to know how he handled Donald Trump in Trump's first term.
First term.
Yeah, I don't know if you recall then. I think they called some of Nigeria a shithole country and all that stuff.
A shithole was not on record.
He wasn't on record. Yes, it was off record.
Yes.
But what was his relationship with Trump like?
You know, when he went to Washington, the first thing Trump asked him is, "Why are you killing Christians in Nigeria?"
Oh, he asked Buhari that as well.
Yes. He asked that question. Why are you killing Christians in Nigeria? And Buhari now took time to educate him on what was happening in Nigeria, saying it was not a religious thing. It was a fundamental cultural problem between farmers and herders, between this and this and this. It took time to educate Trump. Whether Trump got educated, I do not know, because he's still in the same trajectory.
Yeah, because it still feels like that's the case.
Yes.
Now
he raised it with Buhari, but Buhari now educated him on what was happening.
Was there any discussion around maybe oil at the time? Because it was also during Trump that they sort of America stopped buying crude oil from Nigeria.
I don't recall.
That you recall.
I don't recall.
Yeah. It's interesting, hearing some of his, some of this perspectives from you, because a lot of people don't know that. But from an economic ideology, who would you say, what was it? So was Buhari a pro-market, pro-business guy, or more, because people say he was more socialist, like he was more of a...
He tended towards socialist, yes. He tended towards socialist. He always considered the effect of any policy that he will implement on the people and the ordinary people. The ordinary people. Do you also know that one of the reasons he didn't remove subsidy before the 2023 election was that APC will have lost that election? He considered that he was a party man. If he had removed subsidy before the election 2023, APC would not have won the election, because the anger it will stoke would have been so much. So much.
So he did the current government some kind of favor then?
Well,
to a large extent. Yeah. But talking about this is a new government. So you're talking in your capacity as a private citizen now. Yeah. A lot of the you hear a lot of the sound bites from even the current government and some of their economic team and all that. And most times they tend to sound like, they are trying to fix a mess. So it's a bit confusing. I was speaking to some members of the economic team, even on this chair, and it always sounds like they're trying to fix a mess that they inherited. So would you see that way, that look, because what confuses me is that it's the same party. So why would we think that, some other, they were inheriting a mess, in quotes? Because that's also part of the communication that we're talking about.
Well, they are the ones who can explain. We did our part, honestly, to the best of our ability, and we left. After that, we leave those who are there to do what they should do.
So history should essentially just judge at the end of the day.
Exactly.
How
exactly. And people are going to be amazed at how history will judge Buhari. Because
there were a lot of projects under him, though. There were a lot of road projects. There were a lot of infrastructure projects. So which ones would you say were your memorable ones? The ones you think that people will always remember?
Lagos, I traveled on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway at the weekend. I went beyond Ibadan to Ife, to Oshogbo and all that. I know what I suffered on that road. But when I was coming back and I was on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, I said, thank God for Buhari. He fixed this road. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway will always stand in Buhari's stead. That's one. Then, second Niger Bridge. Christmas season like this, people used to sleep on the Niger Bridge. 3 days. The first year he did second Niger Bridge, my friend was traveling home, an Easterner. When he drove on the new Niger Bridge and it took him just about 3-4 minutes, he called me from there and he was praying for Buhari. Said, I'm on the second Niger Bridge. It took me just 4-5 minutes to travel from the Asaba end to the
other side. Yeah.
Said we used to stay 3 days here. So will any person of goodwill ever forget Buhari because of that project? See the Bodo Boni Road that they are about commissioning now. Buhari did about 70-80% of it. That was an area that had never traveled by road. Boni, everything is by water. I've been there before as a reporter. My heart was in my mouth when I traveled by boat on it. They had never traveled on road. Now they will travel on an ultra-modern road. Buhari did a greater percentage of it. And then see airports all over. Lagos, Enugu, Port Harcourt. There were brand new airports in most of the cities.
Which ones was he more proud of? Him personally?
He used to tell me and anybody that cared to listen that when he brought in Raji Fashola, he said, I called him, build me Enugu Port Harcourt Road, build me Lagos Ibadan Expressway, do me a second Niger Bridge, do me Abuja Kaduna Kano Road. Said after that, you are on your own, you can do anything you like. But do me all those projects. And those projects were done. So he was really, really very proud of them.
One of the things that people also say maybe he didn't handle well was power. I mean, I was also in that sector a bit. Why did he not handle power sector well?
Intractable in the country. Has been intractable. Even Obasanjo that prides himself as knowing everything, he couldn't crack power. Couldn't. He said he spent $16 billion on it. I'm not sure that's what's out there. But we only got more darkness. Power is intractable.
So why did he not succeed in that? And because at the time he came in was when they did that privatization, right? And I recall one of the criticisms then was that, it was November 2013, I beg your pardon, that he did the privatization. Yeah, so he came in 2 years after. Years after. So, but one of the things that people always say that maybe he didn't also allow that if it had happened, maybe things wouldn't be this bad was, tariff. He did not allow cost-reflective tariff. Why?
Well, I would not be able to defend that, but as much as possible, he tried to bring in people who could make a difference in the sector. Unfortunately, we still have not...
Does he have any regrets about, maybe personally, about power sector as something that didn't work? Because a lot of people expected it to work. And I one of the things that also pains some of us is maybe if Abba Kyari was alive, because he was the one that was running that Siemens project at that time. But to him, I just want to know, how does he feel about
that project? He went to Germany and he caught COVID. I remember that in his first year, somebody who was interested in power did a proposal on how the Nigeria power sector could work. He gave it to me. I took it to the president in his office. He went through the proposal. He flipped through, and he said, if only we can fix power. He said it 3 times. If only we could fix power. If only we could fix power. 3 times he said it. You will see that it was something that touched his heart. But unfortunately, it was not fixed as he would have loved to see it fixed. But there were advances. It started with Angela Merkel of Germany.
Siemens project. And today we're where we are. We're still at the 5,000 or 6,000 megawatts and all that.
Oscillating around.
Very interesting. Some of the things that we've learned from you, sir. I wanted to just also speak to one other aspect of his presidency should be remembered for. I don't know whether you touched on it in your book, which was the relationship between the presidency and the central bank. They did have a lot of relationship at that point. A lot of people would say that under him, we probably have some of the most powerful central bank at the time. Was that your characterization of it?
No, I would rather not speak on that because there's litigation around that. So
okay.
I think that should just be concluded and we know what is what before we comment on it.
Okay.
Otherwise, whatever one says could be prejudicial.
Okay, that's understandable. So let's speak to how the core job of communication, especially from somebody who is a special advisor to the president on communication. What is the job of that person? Because a lot of people sometimes will come after the special advisor of communication at a personal level and all that. So is it a job that no matter how wrong or right my principal is, my job is to defend him, or is it that I have to always be on the right even if my principal is wrong? What does it take? Because some people say, look at this Femi, he has joined here now, he has changed. This is not the guy. So what exactly is one expected to do when you get in that position?
Yes. Would they have expected me to say, oh, my principal was wrong on this one. He was wrong on this one. I was asking to be fired. You, as a special advisor on media, 3 things. One is inform and educate Nigerians on what the president has done. 2, defend him as necessary. If you need to defend him, you defend him.
Yeah.
And then expand on what he has done. You have informed them, but expand on it further. Yes. Those are 3 basic things that you need to do as a special advisor on media. You cannot come out to say, no, Mr. President was wrong on this.
But were there times you disagreed, though, on your own personal level?
Oh, yes. If you read my book, you will see some of the times. For day one, I resumed on the job was the day Saraki and Dogara smuggled themselves into the leadership of the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Smuggled?
That was what they did. That was what they did because the party had its candidates.
Okay.
And after it was concluded, I told the president, I said, whether we like it or not, a constitutional process has been concluded.
Yes.
The party may not like it. You as the president may not like it, but a constitutionally accepted process has been concluded. So we need to congratulate them. He said, no, you will not congratulate them. I said, no, you must, sir. And fortunately, he had just told me when I resumed, he said, if you need to argue with me, please argue with me. He said, I'm a general. I can argue, but if you have a point, make your point. If I see that your point is reasonable, I'll come to agree with you. So I reminded him that you had said I could argue with you. This one, a constitutionally acceptable process has been concluded. It may not be acceptable to the party or to you as president, but we need to congratulate them. He said he will not congratulate. I said you need to congratulate them. Otherwise, they will say you are a dictator, that you have not changed from 1983. Okay, he said, go and bring me a draft of your statement. So I did a draft. He studied it. He inserted one word. A constitutionally acceptable process has been somewhat concluded. He inserted that word.
So that was his own idea.
It was his word. It was his word. So that was how the statement went out. Somewhat concluded. But when he didn't want that statement, I agreed with him. There was a time we were in maybe Portugal or somewhere, and there was an off-season election in the country, which was won by a party that is not APC. So I went to meet him, Mr. President, this state has concluded its election and this is the party that won, this is the person that is elected as governor. We need to do a statement. He said, no, we wouldn't do. I said, why? He said, they beat my party. So why should I congratulate them? I said, no, you need to congratulate them, sir. He said, let me see the statement. So I did a draft. We went through it. And he okayed it, yes. So there were times we had to debate and discuss certain things, which he turned around to agree with.
To agree. One of the things that, I mean, if I remember some of your tweets back then, I think X, or as it's called now, was the most active during your time. Was it a strategy to sometimes, like go after critics directly? Was it a communication strategy?
Once in a while. I didn't like that style because I don't like a combative style. But there are things I also felt people should not get away with. So when they did those things, we also responded. But it was not a usual style with us because I didn't like this attack dog thing. No, I didn't like it.
Yeah, because there was quite a lot of it. And it appears that almost everybody does it now, even in the US. So that is also done now. Everybody just seems to attack. One thing that I tend to hear a lot from foreign investors, is maybe Nigeria doesn't sell itself well enough. Yeah, we do hear that sometimes. Maybe some of the things that we're doing, we're not very good at communicating, some of the things that we're doing, whatever that means. Do you think that maybe, some of the things that you've mentioned now, some of these roads that were done and all these things, if you could communicate some of those things better, right? Even though I hear you said you were the special advisor to the president himself. But if the president could communicate some of those things better, how would he have done it if you look back now?
I think President Buhari as a person, reticent, could not have done better than he did. He was not given to loud talk.
But wasn't that to his disadvantage though?
Well,
at the end of the day, leadership is all about charisma.
You don't change the way you are. You don't change the way you are. You still had charisma. President Buhari had charisma, despite not being vocal. He had charisma. So you don't change the way you are. But he did his best. Like I said, selling a country is both formal and informal.
Yeah.
A lot of other people needed to have joined in selling Nigeria.
Okay, so
what you invariably find is that some people's idea of selling Nigeria is you procure them and you begin to pay them. President Buhari doesn't believe in throwing money at things. He would not throw money at things. He would rather the things be done, evolve.
Yeah. On a personal level, though, what was he like? Was he, somebody who liked to invest in maybe stocks or invest in real estate or was he in terms of personal finance, was he someone who was, there are some people that are very financially astute. They don't, they save. They don't. What was he like? Was he a spendthrift?
No. He used to even joke about it that he is a very thrifty and stingy person. He used to joke about it that, I'm a stingy person. He didn't do all those things. That he had always said that he would not leave anything for anybody, particularly his children. He said what he owed to them was education, and he gave them the best education. And you know what? The news that came out after his death was that he left nothing. He left nothing.
But what did he like investing in?
I doubt if he was a person that invested. I doubt. I do not know that part of him.
That side of him.
Even to the extent that his children's fees abroad were paid by his friends. There was a time, there was a lot of noise on social media. The schools the children were attended cost this much. I went to meet him. Is it true that these are the fees paid? He said he doesn't even know how much they pay. I said, why? He said, because he doesn't pay, his friends pay. And he gave me the person to go and meet who will give me information. And I met that person who gave me information on it.
But some of his critics would have said, if his friends pay, then, one way or the other, they have him cornered. Wasn't he afraid of that?
No, I didn't get that.
So, like, if you're in power, in government, and then your friends are paying your children's school fees, wouldn't they have some form of control over you or something?
No. If you knew Buhari, he's not somebody that you say nothing goes for nothing. If you did it, you did it. If you did it, you did it. It's not to say that he didn't do favors.
Yeah.
He did favors. I've met people who say, oh, I would never forget President Buhari. He did me this favor. It made all the difference in my business life. So he did favors.
Okay, so
if you meet the Anyam Osigwe family today, they tell the story of when Buhari was Minister of Petroleum and they were looking for petroleum license without he knowing them. He granted it.
That was in the late 70s. Yeah.
He granted it. That family would never forget him. They keep telling the story till tomorrow. That when they applied, some people tried to block them. They were even saying they are an Igbo family and all that. When the thing got to Buhari, he removed his military cap, banged it on the table and said, who says they can't get it? And he signed it. He was such a person.
Interesting. I guess a lot of his stories need to be told at some point.
Yes, that was why I did that book.
Yeah.
A number of stories were told, but there are still lots of stories that you can tell about it.
Interesting. We're getting towards the end of the show. We're in the middle of reform now in Nigeria. Different economic reforms going on left, right, center. Just to get your views on, your thoughts as a citizen on some of these reforms. Do you think we're moving in the right direction? What are your expectations for Nigeria? Let's say in the next 5 years. Do you see a better country?
Yes, I envisage reforms that work. Reforms that bring hardship and do not work will just be a punishment for Nigeria. So I envisage reforms that work, and I pray it works.
So what are reforms that work to you?
You see it, particularly in the market. You see it in prices of goods. You see it almost everywhere. You see it.
So if reforms lead to lower prices of goods, it's a good reform?
It's a good reform.
Yeah, but there are some reforms that lead to higher price and then later prices go down.
Oh, yes, but it should go down.
Okay, so if a reform doesn't lead to lower price of good, then I guess probably didn't work.
That would not be good. It should lead to better quality of life. And I pray we get there.
We all pray. Finally, sir, you're a media person, always been a media person. I know that, you're very well respected in the media circles. Just to get your final view on where do you think the state of media is going to, funding with social media coming up and all that. How do you see media shaping up? And because every economy needs it, I'm sure you agree, economies do need a viable media platform. So how do you think it evolves from your own point of view?
I agree with you, and it's a worrisome development. The media, particularly print, electronic, are not in a healthy state.
How do you mean healthy? Financially?
Everyhow. In terms of quality output. Because it's so very expensive to produce anything now. And of course, social media is also eroding the base of the traditional media. So I think the media needs to reinvent itself. The one that you have just one title and is the only means of income you have, it will not be sustainable again. Media must become multi. They must have multiple streams of income. Yes. Things are
beyond just maybe advertising and print and all that.
Advertising and printing just one title. Things are difficult with the media now. And every viable economy needs vibrant media.
Yeah.
So I hope we'll get there, that the media will be reinvented.
One last thing. What excites you the most about Nigeria today, and what scares you the most?
What excites me most is that Nigeria is my country.
Come on, there's got to be something else.
I tell people.
You didn't choose it now. Nigeria chose
exactly,
you. So
exactly.
what else excites you? Okay, beyond that, what else? What else?
I tell people, I say, it's not by accident that I am here. God knew
that you'll be here.
That I'll be here. So I don't have any problem being a Nigerian. In fact, I don't want to be from any other country. No.
Nothing else excites you? Not even Dirty December?
Not Dirty December. That's for a class of people.
Okay, so what worries you the most about Nigeria?
What worries me the most is evil talk.
Evil talk?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Evil talk around the country. Anything happens, is this that did it? Is this tribe that did it? Is this tribe that did it? Profiling.
Racial, tribal profiling.
Yeah, exactly. Very dangerous. Very dangerous. Very dangerous.
I mean,
there's no part of this country that does not have its evil component. To now label a whole ethnic group as problematic is dangerous. It's dangerous.
I mean, I know we've moved on, but did you think Buhari thought he was successful with insecurity, with the way he handled insecurity?
He did a lot. I'll send you a copy of my book.
Okay.
A whole chapter on insecurity. He did a lot. He did a lot. It's just to sustain what he did, and we'll be out of the wood.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Femi Adesina. We really appreciate you being here. Yeah, it's been great having you on the coffee table, and we hope that you do more, because I know it was difficult getting you here.
In fact,
so shout out to Shegun who brought you here.
I even was asking myself, did Shegun succeed in getting me here?
So he's charm. Gen Z charm on you.
I suspect him.
So please, we need to see more of you out there. Yeah, it's important that you're very important to national discourse, and we hope that we can learn a lot more from people like you.
What sort of chased me out? Twisting whatever I say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I suffered a lot. If I say A, they will say he said B. If I say B, they will say he said C, D. Everything.
But once your words are out there, how can someone twist what you've said it?
People will
or just misinterpret it, or bother to go and find the original. Yeah,
That's the thing. They will not bother to find the original.
They just go with the one.
They just find it convenient to accept and imbibe the twisted one.
Yeah.
And that's what they will be repeating. That's why after leaving government, I just kept to myself. I didn't want to be misquoted. I didn't. They deliberately generate ill will for you.
True. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, sir. Really appreciate the time.
My pleasure.
Coming here.
My pleasure.
I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
That's it on the coffee table. Thank you very much. Until we do this again next time, do have a profitable day ahead. Bye.